everyone. Today we have our another new episode and we will discuss on cyber security. We have our world famous speaker, Mr. David Smith. Mr. David Smith, what you want to discuss about cyber security?
Thank you, Dr. Sharif. Cybersecurity is a concept that affects almost all of us today because our world has grown so digital and so connected, and that most of what we do today relies on a digital transformation process. Cybersecurity is the practice of protecting electronic devices, networks, uh, sensitive information from unauthorized access, from theft, or from damage, or from being compromised in such a way that the organizations, the companies, the individuals, the nations cannot do their what needs to be done today. In cybersecurity, there are some key principles you really have to understand to effectively is that uh, to be used is that it's an encompassing type of approach, and that there is not one solution into the marketplace today that can do all of the cybersecurity activities. So there's not one piece of software, there's not one piece of hardware, there's not one set of policies and procedures that can be used. Cybersecurity impacts the networks, it impacts the computing devices, it impacts people. In fact, people are often the biggest risk you have in cybersecurity. So, one of the principles you really have to understand is every access to a system should be authorized and should be checked for authorization. And you need to do that in different ways. Like I said, and if I look what's coming into my home as an example, I have a firewall ahead of my router, and it provides some of my cybersecurity. Within my router, I have additional elements of cybersecurity. Within the wireless access points I use, still additional. And then I go to the devices like my notebook or some of the other smart devices within my home. We've put additional software firewalls there. We put software on our computers to look at viruses, to look at malware, software to help us protect ourselves against ransomware and how to back that up. We have to look at things for like phishing, where people try to steal our information. And we look at areas where, uh, for example, in emails, trying to put uh, bad payloads on our system. And finally, we see people trying to call and use techniques to for us to compromise ourselves, to give them our passwords, to give them access to the systems. So you see that. But we also need to understand that while cybersecurity is very complex, it needs to be simple for users to understand. And we need to keep them simple. And there's something called a zero based security. And that is where access should be denied unless explicitly approved and known. You need to see what are the least privileges you could have. One of the challenges we've had in the early days of digitalization is all users were the same, and that really does not work well. Um, the other points are kind of is that there's a psychology of cybersecurity. Uh, Many of us have the challenge in that we have so many different accounts we have to secure that we have to remember so many different passwords. And you really don't want to use the same password on everything because if it's compromised once, it can be compromised everywhere. We're seeing increasing approaches with two-factor, three-factor authentication that makes it harder to use. I was buying some tickets online, and this particular group wanted three factors authentication. So I logged into my account. It challenged me with some answers on the account. Then it sent me a text I had to reply to. And then it asked me for an additional biometric which they had on file. And only then could I get into my account. That whole process of going through that took probably an extra minute to get into the account and do what I needed to do. So you see that some of those type of accesses really need to be thought about a little bit more. And it is really everybody's business to understand that. And the impact of AI is dramatically changing our view of security. AI can help us make ourselves more secure. It can also make it easier for the bad guys who are trying to compromise you to be able to get in and do their harm as well. McKinsey and Company says that there is a $2 trillion market at opportunity today for cybersecurity technology and cybersecurity service providers, because cybersecurity cyber attacks are really happening all the time, and they're causing trillions and trillions of dollars of damage each year. And there really needs to be a step up into it. Damage from cybersecurity attacks amounts to about almost $11 trillion annually today, over a 300% increase from around 2015. And the money spent on cybersecurity technologies is growing. In 2021, around $150 billion was spent on cybersecurity, and it's growing about 15% a year. And that is just not enough for where we are today. Some of the largest impacts of cybersecurity are on the smaller companies, where they cannot have the staff, human capital, people to be able to actually go and be able to manage cybersecurity. There's a tremendous shortage of that, and people understand it. Cybersecurity has to be at the board level now too, so boards need to be aware and proactive on cybersecurity. We've seen here in the United States the first place where companies' boards and executives have been held legally liable because they did not pay enough attention to cybersecurity. But cybersecurity is once again getting more complex because we're seeing a tremendous growth of the Internet of Things. So, for example, if you look in the common electric vehicle today, or some of the more advanced other vehicles, you're really driving computer systems more than you're driving a engine and wheels. And all of those systems in there can be cyber attacked. My car is connected to the internet most of the time I'm driving into it, and it's very open to being cyber attacked. We see factory machines, the same type of things, where they can be attacked. Even some of the smart televisions we have in our homes are susceptible to cyber attacks, where people can take over the camera, for example, and see into the room where the television is based, or hear things through it. So it's an area that impacts many. Now, there's a lot of opportunity for innovation, for research, for new companies to bring solutions to this marketplace. As I said earlier, there is not one product that can solve the thing, and it's a complex equation to put together enough products, enough policies, and enough education to have a big impact. But this problem is not going to go away, and it's only going to get worse. So our opportunities to produce new solutions to cybersecurity is at an all-time high. And our ability to do this both in the developed and developing worlds, it creates a tremendous opportunity as we face this very critical challenge of cybersecurity.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. David Smith, for your excellent support for World Talent Development Forum. See you in the next session. Thank you. Bye-bye and take care.
Bye.